All right, here we go. It's podcasting time. Colin Thomas is here from Essential Maintenance and We Will Fix It Dubai. This is the We Will Fix It podcast, where we're going to be talking about the need to know, need to do things right now, this time of the year. And I'm talking, you got some humidity coming. What are you going to be doing with that? What about duct work? What about converting that kid's room that the child has left and gone to college or boarding school, or, who knows? Maybe they've just gone to extended camp. I don't know. You want to convert their room? What are you going to do? How are you going to do it? What do you need to be thinking about? And we're going to be talking about, those Google reviews that people ask you to do? What's the value of them for the organization? Colin's got a whole bunch of things on the list. And if we get to all that, then we're going to talk about replacing halogen lights with LED lights. We're going to talk about redoing the stove ducting. We're
really good at getting to the end of our list, haven't we? What are we on? 81 episodes, I think. And have we done that? In fact, we have done it once. I remember the episode because we both looked at each other in absolute disbelief.
Yeah.
My goodness, we've made it to the end of the list.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to get there today.
I know we're not going to get there today, James. What are you on about? Hey.
I'm forever the optimist.
You are. You absolutely are. I'm the realist. It's probably why it works.
Oh, man. All right. Are we ready to kick this off?
Come on, we can do this.
So the first thing I'm wondering is the air conditioning in the office debate that you constantly have with your partner.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where has that ended recently?
He stepped down.
Oh, no.
Yes. So this debate was whether or not it is right to leave the air conditioning on in the office 24/7 versus turn it off when we leave and then turn it back on.
Yeah.
Now, Dan's additional, he threw this one in, which was a great little curveball, which is now our office is 24/7. We have somebody in the office at all times so that we man our own, unlike most companies, we man our own phone lines.
Yeah. So you don't use a call center somewhere.
No, we don't. Exactly.
It's in Bangalore and someone calls We Will Fix It and they get Bangalore.
And that's the standard. That's what people in our industry use.
Okay.
However, that's not how we roll. So we have somebody the whole time in our offices and away we go. So this was Dan's excuse for having our office, which is attached to the kind of the main office, on 24/7. No, it's a really difficult conversation to have with somebody when they're just wrong. There isn't any ambiguity in this conversation, and it's very difficult to kind of deliver that without seeming like a real pain in the neck.
Yeah.
So Dan has to deal. Can you imagine dealing with me day in, day out? Yeah. When I'm just so black and white. There is no grey. No, Dan, you're wrong. We're not doing that. And then I come back in on a Monday morning after Dan has finished on a Friday. And the AC is on. So picture of the AC unit. And then I just put big dollar signs straight after it. I was saying, what? Why? No. So luckily it's stuck. So he's not doing that anymore. Now we have more problems though, because our AC takes we've got windows on two sides of our office.
Oh no.
So we've got the corner office in effect. And as a result, it takes ages to cool it down in the summer. So Dan, that was another thing that Dan threw quite rightly in my direction. So now I open the door, and when I first walk in, because we have an open door but mainly closed door policy, and now for the first couple of hours I circulate our room with all the other rooms which have very, very solid AC, and it knocks it down much, much quicker. So it is good, and that works actually as the kind of initial communication time. Get us up to speed on the day. So anyone that's got stuff left over, get hold of me now, and then come kind of 10:30ish, we'll normally close that door so that we can have our private conversations, and people need to knock before we're available.
Nice. So, so it's all worked out, because this has been anyone who's been listening to the last 30 of these podcasts here and there, and again we've been talking about AC and the ongoing office disputes.
Well, obviously this didn't work out exactly as I've just stated, because the main office AC died.
Oh no!
I know, at the start of the week, which is a real pain. So actually, what's happened now for this week only? I've just thought about this, that this is a real problem with my overall strategy, because Dan might think this has now been a permanent scenario. So now what we're doing is leaving our AC on 24/7 this week only. It's not going to continue, James.
Does Dan know this, or is he taking this as a subtle sign of defeat?
We haven't actually discussed it. But then what we're doing is we are putting fans to basically take air both in and out of that main room.
Okay.
And it's worked remarkably well considering how hot it's been.
Now,
But
what happened to the AC
yesterday-
unit?
The AC unit was...
And this must be an
I know.
industrial size thing.
Oh, yeah, it's a big boy. It was a contactor, which is basically the big industrial switch that that from the thermostat, you have a little relay that sends the signal to the contactor, which is basically like a big electric switch that goes boom, yes, giving you lots of power for the compressor. So that contactor had burnt out, so that was that one done. And then Renee said something else yesterday that was a secondary issue with it. I think, I know, stem valve, which is so the valve which is on the AC, which is there to be able to connect to as a technician. To be able to put either additional gas in, check what the gas pressures are, whatever you need, that is your access point. Over time, the flex that's naturally caused by that just connecting it up all the way can cause it to leak. So at that point, cut it off, put a new one on there, weld it on, and away we go. So that combination was where we were at.
All right. So when's it going to be all working again?
Yesterday.
Okay.
So actually, I left slightly early last night, so I don't know what the scenario is. And because I'll probably get back in at about 10 o'clock today. It is possible that Dan has taken this as an opportunity to try and change the situation. So you'll have to ask me again next week, the week after that, to see whether or not I've re-established the dominance in the AC world. But I am sure as heck not going to waste our money on cooling a room that nobody is in for the best part of 12 hours.
All right. I want to update you on my water tank issue.
I saw
There's more
your
to come.
video. We discussed this last week,
I know.
said it's not going to work.
It didn't
so
work.
then, James, what happened?
So if you haven't seen my TikTok, and they're on YouTube, and there's more to come, I did the bodge job.
Oh, you did?
It didn't work.
I know it didn't. I said before, James, that's not going to work. Too much pressure at the bottom of the tank, I said.
But now there's not as much water, so I'm going to try again.
No.
Yes, I am. Okay,
No.
because listen.
Don't do it, James.
I think it's going to work now.
It's not.
I got a new plan. Anyway, so this is what happened. As my end of, so I've got a crack in my water tank. It's 22 years old, needs to be replaced. It's at the bottom. It's at a valve, a release valve. I don't even know why there's a release valve there, but there is. And there's not one on the neighbors, because I can see the neighbor's roof. Like, there's just a little wall. So I walked over and went, he doesn't have one. Why do I have one? Doesn't make sense. Anyway, or actually it does if you need to take all the water out. He's not going to be able to do it as easily as I can.
True.
But the guys came and looked. They made some measurements, and they said, okay, well,
This was 10 days ago.
yeah. So they left. And 4 days later, I'm going, what's going on? They haven't come back. So I call up the guys and say, hello. And they said, oh, you got to talk to the building manager. And I call, I say, what? She hasn't approved it. So I call up the building manager and go, there's a leak, and we're still with the leak. And she goes, yeah, that price they gave was extraordinarily too high. And I went,
It's 1,200 for an 800 gallon. What's she talking about?
I guess, so they also included the price of the crane in there because they got to lift it on the roof.
You could, if it came to it, for an 800, or you could downsize it to a 600, which they can definitely lift onto the roof with a rope.
So it's only a 500 gallon tank.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, it looked bigger than that in the video.
Yeah, 500.
Did you zoom in?
Yeah, I think it was a little zoom there. It's only a 500er.
Right, no, you can definitely get that. You don't need a crane for that.
Yeah. So the guys gave a price with lifting it up with a crane.
Okay.
She didn't realize that was included in the price. Thought it was like overkill. And so I said, yeah, but I still need the things. Oh, the other guys are going to come and look. So the other guys come and look. They say the same thing. Yeah, we got to replace this tank. And they're looking, going, yeah, okay, we can probably rope it up, but it would be easier to crane it up.
Yes, it would. Yeah.
And so they're doing the same thing. And so she approved that one finally. Here's the best part. We're up there looking at this tank because, of course, I follow them up to show them all the stuff and my bodge job, which they go, well, that was stupid. They even said that.
Weird, that.
I said, Colin said the same thing. They said, who's Colin? I said, it's a long story.
Don't even go there. We haven't got the time.
So we're standing there. This is better. So we're standing there, and the guy goes, oh, you got another leak too, And I'm going, what are you talking about? He goes, so coming off of the roof pump, there is one of our
Yep.
wonderful pipe. There's an elbow joint that's also 22 years old. Looks very, corroded on the outside. It's but it's plastic. There's a little spurt of water coming out of it. Just a tiny pinprick thing.
But okay, so this is the way this job should be done.
Yeah.
Okay, when they put it in, they definitely need to put a new float valve in there as well.
Yeah, they're going to do that for
Right.
sure.
Look on the side of it. Make sure it says Pegler. There is
Okay.
only one brand that is reliable here.
Okay.
Hopefully, it should be a 1-inch.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, actually, wait a second. You've got a second tank on the ground on your one,
Yes.
haven't you? It's old school. So, therefore, no. It actually needs a new electronic float switch,
Right.
which is, if you look into your tank, you'll have a thing like a plastic thing with a wire coming out of it that floats on the surface.
Right.
Okay. I know they're not going to replace that. They're going to use the same one. But those things generally last about 3 to 4 years.
Ah.
And they are about 50 dirhams cost price to be
That's
able to
nothing.
get. Exactly. Kishton Macker is the brand for those that it should be. They won't use that. They'll use one of the Chinese ones that dies in a year. But there we go. Now, equally, the next step is going to be that they have the tank connector, which is absolutely fine. And then you have to thread onto that. So to thread onto that, you need a union joint, which is basically an opening joint that opens on both sides, and you have a collar that goes over the top to hold it together. You need one of those between the tank and the pump.
All right.
Okay. Now, the bod's job is cut the pipe, fit the union joint, use the old pipe in both directions, and away we go. However, yours is PVC, which is 22 years old. For another, literally 20 dirhams parts cost, you repipe the entire thing back to the pump. It's 20 dirhams.
Yeah. I'm hoping they do this.
Okay, send me a picture when they don't, and we'll come and fix it.
So hold on. It gets better. The story gets better. I got to put this all up on TikTok because it's getting better. So today, the tank is getting delivered.
Oh, okay.
So I send a message. So you're installing it today? Oh, no, sir.
No.
It's getting delivered. Then we're going to have the truck come to put it on the roof. And now my wife and I have bets on, so when will this job actually be done? The positive side is because I've lowered the water level in my tank to only a quarter, it doesn't hardly leak, which is why I think my bod's job is going to work for patching.
James, the thing is, I know that you know that it's not going to work.
But I still have
It's
half
more from an entertainment perspective that you're doing this.
I have half a can of this Wonder stuff. I'm convinced it's going to work. I got a new theory.
The only way that could work, and I told you this last time, is if you put it on the inside.
I'm not climbing in.
I know you're not.
I'm not doing
That's
it.
what you
I'm
need
not doing
to
a
do
Jacques
if you wanna have
Cousteau
a
with the big helmet on it.
Yeah. That is the only way, James, to be able to do it.
Yeah.
But you're not doing that.
No,
are you?
I'm going to try another way.
The other thing is, just so that you know, if you were to, so the way you've put that down, I think you've grabbed the electronic float switch and you've lowered it further in.
Yeah.
Is that how you did get it down to a quarter? Okay. If you were to isolate that, so literally lift it up out the tank, hold it up or with a bit of wire or whatever, you would use the last bit of water in your tank, at which point you aren't Jack Cousteauing it in there. It's empty. So you could actually do that repair correctly. It will never fully seal it.
Right.
But if you did that, so leave it, no water, leave it to dry, then at that point you have a chance of being able to put the repair on there. It then needs to fully dry before. All you do is literally unhook the electronic float switch, drop it straight back in the tank, and it will immediately fill. Now, the lovely thing is, because you've got positive pressure with the tank, if you hit the reset button on your pump a couple of times, it will actually prime itself. You don't have to bother with any of the hassle with that.
Okay.
So it's a very easy process to do this. That will mean that you'll be left with a bit of a drip. And nothing more than that.
See, that'd be nice. Because who knows when they're actually going to put the tank on the roof.
Oh, we all know. We all know when they're going to do that, which is tomorrow. But it's always tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yes, inshallah. Yeah. Oh, I just got inshallah.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it. So more to come. And of course, we'll follow up on TikTok and all of the other social medias where I record this
nice
epic failure in DIY.
It's almost as though you haven't been listening to me for 81 episodes.
I know, that's the thing. That's even my wife said, but haven't you been listening to Colin at all? Don't you listen to those podcasts? You do the podcasts. You're the worst example of a teacher in the world. You're not even listening to what's being said.
Mind you, there is that teaching technique, isn't there? How not to do it.
Yeah. I can't remember what I was doing that it took four failures doing it, 4 failures the same way to realize, I'm not doing this anymore. But it took 4 and I can't remember what it was. This is not a good thing because I'm bound to do it again now.
Let's hope as you go to do it, then you'll realize.
Oh man. All right. Well, let's jump into a really interesting story because you're duct cleaning. So first of all, getting ducts, and I don't mean ducks as a quack quack. I mean
with a T, ducts.
Duct. Yes. Cleaning ducts is super important wherever you are in the world. Back in North America, you might have forced air heating and cooling. And I mean, I can remember when we lived in our place in Ajax. I don't think we ever cleaned those things. And you'd open them up and there'd be dog hair and dust bunnies and old Hot Wheel cars, the stuff that was down there.
Yeah, it's quite something. And also, if you imagine in Northern America, those units are a lot older than we've got here.
Yeah.
And therefore, and because they're often through the floor as well, they've literally just been created as channels rather than actually any ductwork being there at all. So we're a huge step forward here in the Middle East. Where it gets a little bit more dicey is on the older properties. Some of them, for some unknown reason, insulated with fiberglass on the inside.
Oh.
At that point, you're in disaster zone and you need to be very careful about how they're duct cleaned.
Why would you put the fiberglass insulation on the inside? Is these some North Americans who designed these things or what? That's weird.
I don't know, but they obviously had their own issues. Yeah. But the logic behind it is, if you imagine when you turn off your AC, the ducts are then very cold. Yeah. So what they're trying to do is avoid condensation. Yeah, and I understand that logic, but they didn't think about longevity.
No.
In terms of the process of people cleaning it over time, which it needs to be done, and the damage that would cause to the insulation that's there. Yeah. So not a genius idea, never done these days. Let's put it that way.
Thank goodness.
So from our perspective, the big job that we're actually in the middle of quoting. We're at the quoting stage.
Oh.
And it is a new school in Dubai that was actually built in 2019, or the initial construction was done. They're now at the stage where they are finally bringing it online next September. And they're doing the fit out of the school itself, so not bare walls anymore, but trying to put floors in and various other bits and bobs. And all of the exposed ducts need an initial clean before a final clean, because the buildings haven't even been closed. So all the gymnasiums, for instance, have these enormous duct lines, and there is bird droppings all the way across the top of these units. No. Yeah. Okay, but then the scale that we're talking about is, so I've got 3 gymnasiums. Each one probably has about 250, 260 meters of ducting that we have to clean both internally and externally.
Wow.
And another 370 units of ducts. So
370
units.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, not all of those. I think is 270 is the number that we've been asked to quote for, plus the gymnasiums. But it's been so much fun. I've really enjoyed actually getting back into doing kind of really hardcore commercial quotations and the process, and taking the team through that, because a lot of the guys haven't done it before. So you have to simplify this, and very, very quickly. Is the real key. So we had all the plans, we got them all printed out in A3 on our conference table, and it filled the entire conference table. And then I color code them. So therefore we have the 3 colors for short length duct, medium length duct, long length duct, and then another one which is outside of the ordinary that we can classify. So therefore we need to look at each of these separately. Which are those gymnasiums? The rest of them pretty much filled into the classification. Then as well as that, we've got various fan shafts that need cleaning and various other bits and bobs like that.
Oh, yeah.
So we then got the purchasing team involved to then look at, outside of our standard domestic brushes, what can I get that will work with our machines? Because our machines are extremely capable to work on commercial units as well. And it turns out we can get 30-inch brushes to go on there, which is perfect for what we need. So it's a really, really clever idea. Then on top of that, very few companies have as many of these duct machines as we have. We currently have 6 that are fully operational. And if you imagine that each of these machines could do around 10 to 12 units a day, it actually means that when it sounds like an enormous number, we can actually bring it down and probably get the whole school done in 2 to 3 weeks.
That's pretty good.
It is. And there's not many outfits out there that actually are able to do that. Most companies would have 1, maybe 2 of these machines. We've got 6 because of the size that we are. So then it's about health and safety, and then looking at, okay, so you know these ducts that are in the gymnasium, these ducts are 10.1 meters above the ground.
Yeah.
So how do we do that?
Serious scaffolding.
Yeah, it is. But luckily, we've got that.
We've got the scaffolding.
Yeah.
That's good.
But then more importantly than that for me is, okay, our guys all need to be able to operate this safely.
Yeah.
So they all have certificates to be able to work for us. We train them in working at height, and they are certified for working at height. For the scaffold, we have a certain select group that are warranted for that, but now anybody that is working on those gymnasiums, if for any reason they are not certified, will be certified beforehand. We will then have a manager who is certified, IOSH certified, which is the main training body in the UK for managing safely.
Okay, here's my question. Pause for a second.
Okay.
You're doing the quote, you've got this team together. Do the people you're quoting to care?
Well, this is the question. We don't know.
Okay.
So there are 2 schools. There is the school of, I want the lowest price no matter what. Okay. Now, to hit that lowest price, it's going to be really, really long. They'll literally go in with 1 duct machine and 2, 3 people. Secondly, it's going to be really dangerous. They won't use the scaffolding grade that we do to be able to get up there.
No, they're going to use one big... Another story. Remind me, I've got another story for you after to do with heights.
Okay.
So they'll use some ladder or something.
Yes, they will. They just use a straight ladder and literally they'll lean it up against the ducts, which is dangerous as hell. And
because they'll do that.
Yeah, well, they do it domestically.
Right.
You know the story about the 3 guys holding on to a vertical ladder so that guys can climb up 8 meters to change a light bulb.
Well, that's the story that I've got for you. Is I actually was watching. We were driving by. The wife and I were driving by some giant-sized palm tree, and there's some guy up in it cutting off branches and things, and the ladder is roped around. I think it was roped. I'm not sure. I'm not even sure how he would have climbed up it because I didn't see where the ladder was affixed, but it was vertical. And we didn't go back because we thought we were both gasped and went, how did he get up there?
Well, this is interesting. I know how they got up there because we had palm trees in the old garden, and the gentleman who came to be able to cut off those branches didn't need a ladder.
Okay, he used the belt.
The belt.
But this guy had a ladder.
No, but they sometimes what they'll do is they'll lean a ladder up initially so they don't have to belt from the bottom. They'll then set up the belt at the top of the ladder and then go up higher from there.
Gotcha.
That's the normal way that they would work. But that's very different to maintenance of a light bulb, unfortunately, where they literally put 3 guys holding onto a ladder that goes totally vertically and the lightest one climbs up.
No.
That was done by a very, very well-known maintenance company, large maintenance company here in Dubai.
Wow.
And that is how little they think of their staff. Well, you know what? If I have to miss out on a contract because to be able to hit a price point, I need to use that little equipment and have that disregard for my staff, I don't want to.
Yeah. So that's good. So you'll be able to provide all these certifications.
Oh, we've got it. We're absolutely ready to go. But to work through the methodology on something like this, which is a really unusual job, is fascinating. I've really, really enjoyed it. And, we came in at a really good price. If we don't get it, we don't get it.
Yeah.
And it won't materially make much difference to us. It would be nice to have, especially as it's getting cool. And that's the reason we went for it.
Yeah.
But, we'll have to wait and see whether or not they value. I don't think many people can do it the way we could do it. And for me, that's the magic of scale.
When will you know?
I'm guessing 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay.
So we'll wait and see.
Yeah.
We think we call these our 20%ers. If we do
Okay.
5 of them, we'll eventually get one. But for a 20%er, and there's a process to take the staff through,
Yeah.
it's worth its weight in gold,
So
whether
it's
we get it or not.
Huge educational value.
Yeah, massively,
Nice.
massively. And trying to get them to think outside of our traditional box of domestic.
Yeah.
And you do need to think very differently commercially about how to cost this kind of thing. So it's not just about the length of the units, it's about the flow between the units. It's about ease of access. The fact that the ceilings are not in means that we can actually get in and do the work a lot more simply than we would be otherwise. So it's been fascinating. I've really enjoyed it. It's been great.
The next thing on our list is it's all about humidity, because this morning was a great example. It wasn't humid at 5 o'clock, 7:30.
Yeah. I was sat on Hesse Street, as I am always when I'm coming in this direction, and the condensation started on the outside of my windscreen because I like having the car extremely cold. So I had to literally put
Hold on. You always talk about your wife as being the abominable snow woman at home with the AC.
Yep.
Sounds to me like you're in the same camp. You want to keep it at 14 or lower as well.
Only in the car.
Oh, okay.
Let's not be consistent, James. I've never been until now and won't continue to be. But in a car, I like to be cold.
Okay.
In bed, I don't like to be cold.
Gotcha.
So therefore, as far as I'm concerned, it's perfectly normal in a car, totally abnormal in a bedroom.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense. So humidity.
So humidity, yes. So
a pain in the butt.
It's just starting now, and
Yeah.
it's going to get a lot worse over the next 2 to 3 weeks. Now, how does it affect the general public? We start getting the usual phone calls that come through, which is, I've got water coming through my light bulb or in the ceiling. The ceiling rose is leaking, and from our perspective, we're like, okay, so these are the start points, which are, you must keep all of your windows closed.
Right.
Keep doors closed. If you've got a balcony, because it's getting cooler, people think, oh, it's nice to have that flow of air coming in from outside. And it really is. But you are going to get a shower coming through. And the reason for that is especially in apartment blocks, but it does happen again in villas, which is, if you imagine how they split the floors here, which is a brilliant construction technique, they use solid concrete flooring. Okay, so the slabs that are there. Well, these slabs have a very large mass about them, and they will stay cool over the period that they have subjected to AC, or relatively cool. You then put hot, wet air, which is what we've got against them, and it creates condensation on the underside of the slab. Now, what happens is this will pool to the lowest point. The slabs aren't absolutely flat, so it'll pool to the lowest point. It will then drip down onto whatever ceiling structure you've got, and it will look for an exit point. That exit point is normally your light fitting.
Right.
Okay? Now, in this situation, there is nothing that we can do to rectify.
Really?
Yeah, we can advise you on what to do correctly to rectify it yourself, which is close all doors, without a doubt. Keep an AC operating because they act as a dehumidifier, so you can get rid of that humidity that is there. Keep all your doors open between the rooms so you get the maximum amount of circulation to be able to move that air through the ACs and throughout the entire apartment. And ideally, not that Natalie's ever going to listen to me, don't put it too cold so you have this big differential in temperature across your property. Okay, so trying to keep it consistent and trying to keep the air as dry as possible is the key to humidity, and to not introduce more humid air to the environment that you're trying to protect.
So it's not a physical fix. It's just, practical measures fix.
Yeah, and I missed one more thing, which is extractors are really good as well.
Oh, okay.
They really help
Like the kind you have in washrooms.
Yeah, exactly. They really help to be able to, it makes it slightly more expensive on the basis that you are, in effect, extracting out to the environment. But it means that if they're working in one direction, if they're a little bit old, then the one-way air gate that is there to basically stop the humid air coming in probably isn't working. So on that basis, you're introducing humid air in many instances through that as well.
Okay. Good. That's an easy one.
Yeah, it was,
Yeah.
relatively.
Keep the doors closed, keep the fans going, maybe keep the AC on, and away you go.
Yes, absolutely.
And you figure, what, 3 weeks, we're going to be past the brutal humid part? Or
Nah, more like a month.
Oh, gee.
I think, and it depends because sometimes it's hit early this year.
Yeah.
So to have it, we're now in the start of October, and at this stage, normally you would still not have humidity having hit, but
So-
we're a week and a half in.
So folks might be wondering, why am I asking Colin about this? It's because you track it year on
Yes, we
year,
do.
temperatures, humidity, etc. So you have a nice, since what, 2010?
Yeah, probably around then that we were actually tracking it, I would have thought. But the interesting thing for the next month is the temperatures are both the high and the low, are all over average.
Oh,
But humidity is hit early. So it's a really weird combination of the two that we have. So we're not sure exactly what happens next. Last week was really quiet. This week is crazy. And we're at that stage where naturally you get that variation at the end of the season where you don't quite know where it's going in terms of demand. And for us, that's our reason for tracking all this, so that we can make sure that we've got the we've got the teams in place to cope with the demand that we have at different times.
Yeah.
But literally, I was just on the phone to Dan, my business partner, to say, we seem to have a bit of a tale of work at the moment, and we've obviously started. Our teams are now for the winter period taking their vacation time, and can we get anybody back for a bit to do some overtime for us, just to try and get this back down again to a sensible level? And he's working on that as we speak.
nice.
Yeah.
Excellent. Which brings us to vacationing, and folks have got kids leaving, and you might be in a great place, but you're thinking, it needs a refresh. And isn't that typical? I mean, I know so many folks who are thinking they need to do a little bit of renovation, a little bit of refresh, and they're thinking, why would I do this? Why don't I just move to another apartment, another villa, and start fresh with this one?
Yes. Well, the reason for that is quite simple, which is not just the fact that rental prices are increasing at the moment.
Yeah, they're going up quite a bit, aren't they?
They are going up significantly at the moment.
Crazy.
But additionally, what people kind of forget is the cost of moving.
Yeah.
Well, I know the cost of moving, and I'm lucky enough that I've got a very good friend in the trade that does me the best deal going. Even then, I was north of 20,000 to move.
That's a lot.
Yeah, but
You were only like one block over?
Oh yeah, it's about 400 meters.
Yeah.
But the thing is, what the bit you forget is not the actual costs of the physical move. It's the fact that there will be pressure to refresh at the same time. So you've got that double whammy of, oh yes, these curtains are a bit tired. We can't put these back up. Let's buy new curtains.
Yeah.
Oh yes, this curtain rail is of a different size and it's not extendable. So now we need new curtain rails. And all this kind of comes in. Oh no, that duvet cover does not match your daughter's desired colours anymore. She's 5 years older than she was in the last house. And this is the stuff that absolutely nails you.
Yeah.
So instead,
And that's the stuff you could just stay where you are and change those little things.
yes, yeah. And the other thing is, if you imagine just the nasty practicality of Dubai, if you've been in a property for a while, and also as the market is right now, it's highly likely that you're paying under the market rate.
Right.
So if you have a situation where you are able to stay, it should financially make a lot of sense that you do, unless you've got a real need to move, which is normally landlords kicked you out, or you need more or less space for whatever reason than you currently have. So in this scenario where those 3 points aren't valid, it makes much more sense to refresh rather than to move. So what does a refresh look like? Well, you know what? It's not the real hard stuff. It is make it look different.
Yeah.
And that
I
can
think
be,
people forget that.
yeah. Yeah, and it really does. It changes your whole attitude towards your home. So, and also, we talk all the time about if you're taking on a DIY job, make it manageable.
Yeah.
Don't do the whole property in one hit, do one room at a time.
Exactly.
Now, there are two different things really in this situation that really make the big difference. First one is layout, okay? The second one is decor.
Right.
So, decor, dead easy on the whole, but it's going to take 3 times as long as you think it is. Okay, so your average room that we would be painting in 4 hours in Dubai.
And listen, we've got a great podcast that is up that talks
yes.
about the prep. It talks about
Yeah.
painting. It talks about the follow-up of Mohair
Recently
rollers.
up, yeah.
Yeah, it's recently up. So it's great to listen
Okay,
to.
so we've got that. Now, if you're doing it, allow a day and a half. Now, that
It's a
doesn't
long
mean
time.
that doesn't mean we're 3 times better than you. What it actually means is you don't have all the materials that you need that we know we need when we come to do the work. So you will find, first of all, half a day will be spent going to get all of that in the first instance.
Yeah, back to the hardware store. Oh, I didn't get this. Oh, I need that. Oh,
Yeah.
don't have enough plastic. Oh, I don't have any tape. Oh,
Exactly. Now, the prep work, because we do this constantly, we will be much more efficient in that. So you'll be 50% longer than we are just in the prep. At that point, most of the first day is gone. I actually think in one day you could get the materials, including the paint. You could then get the preparation done, so tape on and basically the room all plasticed up so that you're not going to cause problems. And I think you could edge. And that would be the edging. So around the doors, once you put the tape up, going around the doors, the freehand brigade. Okay, so if you can do it,
freehand brigade.
yes, if you can do it, it speeds up things dramatically.
Yeah.
Okay, unless you are an artist or have the steadiest hand going, you can't do it.
Right.
Okay, I've seen the guys that do it; they're really, really good. Don't just think, I don't need this. Go sensible. Use tape. Use good quality tape. Don't use rubbish tape because it sticks to everything. And then at that point, you end up with more problems than you can ever imagine. The number of ceilings when I walk into people's homes, and I can see it the second I walk in, and there is this big lump that's been taken out of the paint in the ceiling, and I know that they pulled off rubbish tape, which then brought off the paint as well, and they couldn't touch it up. Or there's this Frisian cow of a white patch there. And I'm like, I know what happened. You pulled off the tape. You thought that all white paint was the same. You painted it. And then you went, that's good enough.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't, was it?
No.
And everyone's that inside a second.
Everyone's eye goes to it as well as soon as they walk in.
Drawn to it.
Oh.
You might as well have highlighted that with a marker. So that is that situation, really, which is spend your time on it. Now, in terms of layout is a really good one in terms of changing attitudes.
So simple too.
It is, but then what you tend to find is people have too much furniture for a room anyway,
Right.
which then limits entirely how they can lay it out. So, do you really need that L-shaped 12-seater? You know,
I have 2 of them in a room.
I bet you do. I bet you
They
do,
do not
James.
fit at all either with the giant table.
Yeah, and there's 2 of you, aren't there?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the dogs. Yeah, dog.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one of us gets the one L shape because, you have the L shape when you're watching TV.
Yes.
I'm in the room with the TV.
Nice.
I'm not really watching it.
Yeah. Got you.
Might as well just bring down my duvet cover and use the L shape
Yes.
sofa as the bed.
Yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? So, but that is the key, really, which is what do you really need? And decluttering is part of this process
That's
as
a
well.
huge one.
Yeah.
That's a huge one.
So sell that L shape and get something that fits the room, will you? And then think about whether or not you can actually change around the design. I can't visualize that, and luckily Natalie really can. We were in our Palmyra property in the Ranches 1, and it had windows on 3 sides, and then it only had a pillar on the other side for a corridor. And I was like, how do we do this? I just could not see it. Anyway, Natalie, and there were lots of other people that had done it in one way, down one end, and it made the whole room extremely narrow. And Natalie went, you just sacrificed the middle doors and literally put a TV unit with a TV on top of there. And ours is the perfect size to go the width of that, so it'll look absolutely correct. And you've got 2 more sets of doors either side anyway, so you didn't really need that 3rd one.
There you go.
Yeah, I know, but you need that vision.
Yeah.
And you need somebody who's got that vision. And luckily, in our relationship, Natalie, to be fair, claims she can do everything. She does nothing apart from having that real vision for what needs to be done. She then tells me to go and get it done. And to be fair, I can't do anything either. So then I get the boys in, but I'm very good at briefing. I'm really good. Once I'm told what's required, I can guarantee I can do it more efficiently than most people.
Yeah.
But then the oddity of this podcast is, can you actually do what you're talking about? Well, a lot of it, no. But at the same time, I've now got almost, 15 years of experience of briefing it to a degree that I can get a technician who couldn't see the job to be able to then do it. It's a very odd scenario that we peddle here, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
How bizarre.
So maybe a little paint to refresh a room, just changing the layout of the room.
Yes. Don't go too dark on colours unless you're absolutely confident. Closes in the room so dramatically, and then you need a huge amount of light to try and bring it back again. Now, there's people who can do this and do it really well. Nargis, remember my friend Nargis? Oh, man, she always nails the colours in her place. And she uses a lot of kind of maroons and reds and dark yellows. Dark yellow, really? It works. It's absolutely stunning, her house. I absolutely love it. And it's got such a feel of warmth about it. So, but you need to be totally confident if you're going to start doing that. We stay light. Light and airy is really the way that we want to rock. And again, we try and minimize furniture as much as we can.
Nice. And then you got all those little things, as you said, where you're putting a TV up, where you put some floating shelves in for decoration and all that.
All those pictures that you've been meaning to do.
Mirrors. I like mirrors. Forget the pictures for now. The mirror art and the fact that you can put just some giant mirror up.
Opens out a room dramatically.
Yeah.
It really does. Gives you that feeling of space. So again, those people who've needed to downsize, it's a great thing. Use mirrors to give you that feeling of space.
Yeah.
It's a very nice idea, as long as you don't mind looking at yourself now and again.
But again, it's great to have the guys come and do those final touches of putting those things up, working with the pictures, getting them all up.
Yeah.
And, your floating shelves, getting them all. I mean, anyone can go get the IKEA floating shelves. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, it's how you put them up. That's the real key.
I've seen a lot of places where people have done it themselves, and it's just like, guys.
Yeah.
First of all, the walls aren't square.
No, of course not.
And, you don't have all the right tools. And your boys come, and they do it in 20 minutes.
Well, that's what we do. That's what we're doing all day, every day, without a doubt. So it's a bit of a classic for that.
Yeah.
Do you think we can do a bit on Google reviews?
Yeah, let's do it.
Have we got time?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. Now, the reason that I want to talk about Google reviews is it's a bit of a sore point with us, to say the least. So what we had a really interesting scenario now about 3 months ago, where we've had over 700 reviews now, and then we hit 3 1-stars in a row. Okay. 2 of the 1-stars were totally unjustified. And again, we weren't too sure. In fact, no, we are sure now that they are not customers. That was the big question mark. The third one, we had a bad day. And you know what? Justified. We'll happily take that one on the chin. Now, the problem that you have is, so we are currently, in terms of the numbers that we have got of each number, our vast majority, and I'm talking probably over 90%, are 5 stars. Okay. Now, those 3 reviews, 2 of which we know were bogus, and we know that, sorry, just so that we're clear, we know that because for one of the guys, he'd done 22 reviews, all of other maintenance companies, all of which were 1 star. So he has employed 23 maintenance companies to be able to make that conclusion. Well, no, he hasn't. He's obviously in the industry and trying to rubbish other people to push himself up. So that one. Now, when you try and feed this back to Google, nothing happens.
Of course not.
Okay. And we've tried it from lots of different perspectives. We've tried it through lots of different communication channels. But basically, unless it is the ultimate horrific kind, which would be graphic in terms of language or subject matter, they have just whitewashed what's going on. Now, the problem, therefore, is the algorithm, which basically goes a 1-star, when you have a lot of reviews, takes a huge number to be able to equate with a 5-star. To give you a rough idea, now at the level we're at, from what we've been able to work out, we think 1-star equals 120 5-stars.
Wow.
That's insane.
That's
utterly insane. So we currently have had 42 5-star reviews in a row, and it's done nothing. Absolutely nothing to be able to counteract a scenario which was 1 bad review, which was 4 months ago, and 2 that are still there because Google won't act. Now, the problem that we have is we know that customers now use Google reviews as their main method of deciding outside of word of mouth. They use their main method of deciding. So it is crucial to us as a business that we maintain a good Google review.
Yeah.
However, we have no control over, from where we are right now, 66% of negative reviews. And what we want to do is, when somebody does have a bad experience, and a genuine bad experience, because it's going to happen, we do 100 jobs a day. So even if we're running at 1%, and if you imagine with old units, you are going to have situations where we go there, we repair it, and something else happens because they're old units. It's not that we're at fault.
Yeah.
So in that situation, we want to engage with the customer and we want to put it right. Well, that's our only interest. We want to put things right. Well, the problem is that the way that Google operates currently, it's very difficult for a company to be able to do that.
Which has a huge effect, not only on people looking you up, but the people who work with you.
Absolutely. So we now celebrate every single Google review that comes in.
Nice.
In our weekly meeting. It is read out, and that there was a round of applause that is given for the technicians who are there. We also now are aware that customer service training is more important than ever by a massive margin. So now every week we are doing customer service training with all staff.
Wow.
And if it is not immaculate, we will do it again and again and again. And then when it is immaculate, we're going to do it again and again and again to keep it immaculate. That is the level now that we
That's
need
amazing,
to be
isn't
at.
it? Like how change has happened in the last 10 years.
Well, what we realized after the initial fury of the whole Google review situation, and we were furious, because it does affect you going from 4.6 to 4.5. Sounds like nothing, but actually in a competitive market, that's really critical.
Well, because when you Google, home repair in Dubai, and all of 10 places come up, and they start getting ranked by reviews.
Yes, and also they don't clearly show you how many reviews it is.
No.
So 5-star reviews, you get 5.0.
Yeah.
That is higher than us with over 700 reviews at 4.5.
Yeah.
So we're now at that stage where we've always taken it very seriously, but Facebook is no longer providing a numerically based review system. And that used to be the gold standard. And to be fair to Facebook, they were much more interactive in terms of the way that they operated, and we could interact and talk to them when there was something that was out. Now that's all gone.
Wow.
So the only thing that we can do is to promote more Google reviews, because we know when people review us, 99 times out of 100, it's going to be positive. And secondly, to make sure that our guys are better than they ever have been in terms of delivering that customer service. We know we're very good at doing the job, but in terms of the customer service side, that is what we need to carry on working on.
So be honest with the reviews. That's the key.
Yeah, it is.
And
it's so important to the businesses you're reviewing.
And as you said, as you're looking at reviews, look to see how many reviews there are. Because it's easy to go with, they're the top. And then you say, it's 4 people.
And if you see a 1-star review without at least a paragraph or two to explain why,
ignore it.
Absolutely ignore it, because that is not. There is so many that are fake reviews. It is unbelievable. There's outfits that are out there that you can literally pay a very small fee to get 200 5-star reviews to fudge your numbers.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I know. And that's where we're at. Well, we are categoric that we will not do that.
Yeah.
But if you imagine some of our competitors,
Yeah, there we go.
One of those. Anyway, thank you for that rant.
Yeah,
I appreciate it, but I think people need to understand the actual reality of Google reviews.
You know what? I think that's a great way to end off the podcast for today, and we'll pick it up and do it all again really soon. Colin Thomas from Essential Maintenance, and We Will Fix It Dubai. That was a great show.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
We covered we got everything that you fired into me.
We've done well today.
We did it all. This is a success.
Sounds good.
We'll do it all again real soon. And hey, by the way, go and listen to some of the other 80 plus shows that we've got posted up, and follow us on YouTube. You can find us there too. The James Casts are where these all live. We'll talk to you really, really soon. James out.